Ireland. And joining me for this week's Tote Show is my colleague Martin Murphy. Martin, we've had a busy week of racing and a busy weekend of racing ahead of us. We'll have a quick look back though, and if we can, we'll start last Saturday with the July Cup at Newmarket. What was your take on Caravaggio's performance?
Well, as you said last week, Shane, I think you were against him a bit.
That's why I brought it up.
Absolutely. Taking on the other horses for the first time, no doubt on the face of it, he was disappointing. The way he won at Ascot, he looked a bit of a superstar. The way Connections had felt all along, that he's going to be the next coming, really. I suppose that was his first defeat in 7 races. Maybe just things didn't work out. I don't think he went as fast as he did in Ascot, and he just looked like in trouble along the way out. He never looked like he was going to win. Good performance for the winner, Harry's Angel, very, very good horse. I just maybe feel Caravaggio's pacemaker, Intelligent Cross, possibly didn't go as hard as maybe he could have done, and maybe things will be different next time. Wouldn't rule out Caravaggio from reversing places again in the future. I'm sure he's a very exciting horse, but just in the face of last Saturday, it certainly was disappointing.
So we just have to wait and see.
Just have to wait and see, just like with everything else.
Okay. Killarney dominated now on the home scene this week. We had 4 days there. Very mixed 4 days. Obviously, the terrible fall suffered by our leading apprentice, Anna O'Brien, on Tuesday night. But the good news is, by all accounts, she's going to be okay.
I was having to watch the race at the time, and like everybody else, got an offer fight when seeing the fall. It was a very serious fall. And it was great to see.
It all happens so quick, doesn't it?
So, unbelievable, especially on the flat. Last thing you expect, 4.5 out, challenging for a place, and like this, this terrible fall happens straight away. You think, the worst, and it was just great. And fair play to the medics and all that down there. Did a great job racing it up over an hour and a quarter. We still got through the card, and it's great to hear about Hannah Bryan being okay with the brain scan, and she's got obviously problems with vertebrae in her back and all that type of thing. Eye socket's obviously very sore as well. But I think it should be back, and that's the main thing. 3 or 4 months out, and
it's not a big deal.
It's not a big deal in the time I'm seeing an awful lot worse, and it's great. Now she's very young. She's had a great season. 18 minutes already on the board. She's
our leading apprentice rider. She's clear by 9 in that race.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting now, Shane. I mean, you imagine, would she hang on? I mean, there's a good few lads, with chances. Gary Helpin.
She's unlikely to hang on now.
Probably is unlikely to hang on, unless she can make it back before the end of the tough season, which is the end of October, first week of November. This year, actually, at Naas is the last day of the season, the 5th of November. It'll be interesting. I like Sean Davis. I think he's a very good young rider, getting plenty of rides now, can do the lightweights. Him and Killian Leonard, they can do the
Dylan Hogan is there as well.
Dylan Hogan as well. Gary Helpin says very experienced rider. Some very good riders, and it'll be interesting to tussle now, but obviously very hard looking on.
And we wish her well.
Absolutely.
Martin, just then on the racing that we saw at Killarney over the few days, we saw another kind of talking point came up yesterday with that void race in the qualified riders.
Well, it's the first time we had a void race for many years in Ireland, I have to say, and I'm a bit surprised because I actually watched that horse the last time Stars Over the Sea, because I seen him run in Wexford. I actually fancied doing that thing, and I was hurdling, and he got left 15-20 lengths. I didn't fully see the race at Killarney yesterday, but I believe he got off to a flyer and obviously went on to win the race. Obviously there's guidelines for starting. The starter felt he was okay. He could have used the recall flag, could have called a false start at the time. Joe Bannon obviously felt it was okay. Looks like the stewards obviously didn't, which is their right, and declared it void. Awkward obviously for punters and bookmakers, everybody like that, but certainly it's a bit of a surprise, I have to say, because I've seen, we've often seen horses getting a good lead at the start.
Absolutely.
With National Hunt racing a lot of time, or obviously races.
Will this put the starter under pressure going forward now?
Well, I'd say he's unfortunate in a way, Shane, because it normally would be start from stalls, but that was the only race yesterday, the only flat race down for decision at Killarney, so there's no point in sending the stalls down there. Obviously, in a flat race, it's more important, I suppose, maybe
over a shorter distance,
yes. Obviously. So, but no doubt he's always under pressure. It's not an easy job, not a job I'd certainly like to do, and have to feel sympathy for him. But certainly was a controversial decision, to say the least.
And maybe we haven't heard the last of it.
Possibly not. I'm not quite sure. It's obviously gone on to trust, but I'm not quite sure what's going to happen now.
And just the winner, a nice horse all the same.
Yes, he came from England. He's a decent horse over hurdles as well. He's won 2 hurdle races too, and I think he has a bit of a future.
Will there be a race at Galway for him? Maybe?
I think there probably will be. I mean, I'd imagine the amateur handicap, which will be one race on the Monday evening. There's probably a couple of other races there for him as well. But he's a nice prospect, and again, Henry Barnett doing extremely well.
And Clondalk Warrior was in behind him yesterday. What do you make of Clondalk Warrior these days?
I always thought he won at the last 2 Galway festivals. He won the 9.5 feature handicap on Friday night 2 years ago, and last year, of course, famously won the Galway hurdle under a brilliant ride from Ruby Walsh. I think since the second trip to 3 miles early on in the season,
overheard it.
I just think, they just haven't really, for some reason. I think he's lost his form somewhat. It's been slightly disappointing. Maybe it's feeling the effects of a long campaign, and we went to America and things like that. And it just was probably again disappointed with him yesterday. He was expecting to run better than he did. And I can't say go back for a Galway hurdle. I don't think he'll be quick enough now over 2 miles. and just have to wait and see what's going to happen there. He's been a great money spinner for Connections, though, no question about that.
And it was a very good week for Ger Lyons and Colin Keane.
Yeah.
And Colin is certainly giving this Jockeys Championship a bit of a go.
Well, it's very interesting because Pat's won, from the last couple of years now with Joseph returning, has had everything all his own way. He's been odds-on favourite to be champion jockey every year, and of course has duly done so. Now with the number one stable, certainly fairly less than
under a cloud.
Definitely under a cloud. I think he's done 20 winners, 21 winners this season, which is way down on normal seasons. Now of course he has Galway coming up, and everybody always looks for well stable for Galway, but he's definitely going to have to find it hard now to retain the title.
You're a keen follower now of Dermot Weld. But you won't be backing his horses blind in a couple of weeks' time.
They're always under bet at Galway. Over bet.
Yeah.
The prices are always wrong. But there's no question that Joseph Bryan has a much stronger yard this year. Willie Mullins has been very well the last 2 seasons at Galway. I think Well doesn't have the national hunt horses that he used to have. He used to win bumpers and maiden hurdles. This year, the last couple of years, he's struggling that front. He doesn't seem to have any national hunt horses at all. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. The normal 2-year races will probably win, but he hasn't produced any decent 2-year-olds yet this season. And I think Joseph, been a much bigger player now. Willie Mullins, the price is so good at Galway now. It's 15,000 per race minimum. It's very, very competitive. Makes things very interesting for the neutral. And we should have some very good racing again. But I wouldn't be backing down Well to be leading trainer at the moment. Anyway.
So going into the weekend, Colin Keane is 8 winners ahead of Pat Bond. Now, mind you, Pat Bond didn't have a bad week.
No.
He rode a couple of winners of his own. But how do you honestly see it panning out?
Well, I still think Smullen would be favoured overall. You expect Well to come back with a couple of winners at least. Between now and the end of the season, things will turn around for him, and he will get plenty of winners. Pat is always much in demand, but Colin certainly will give it a good go. Ger Lyons having a tremendous season. If he can keep that going, obviously Colin will have a great chance. But if he doesn't win it this year, it's going to happen from the next couple of years.
And we saw some good performances over the week. Yesterday we saw a couple of nice winners. The Riesberg, did that impress you?
Yeah, his horse I think will win the 4-year hurdle at Galway in the opening day of the season. He looks a really nice horse. He was well touted as a bumper horse early on in the season. They were a bit disappointed to get beat early on the first 4-year bumper in January and Naas. But I think since going over hurdles, he looks a different class animal. I think he could be very, very exciting going ahead. I think he'll take all the beating Galway if he goes there. And
another horse I know caught your eye during the week was Lagos to Vegas.
Yeah, he's an interesting horse because previous connections did well with him, the previous trainer, and he looked the horse was very well handicapped, and he won very easily under Pat Smullen on Tuesday evening. Now he's gone up £17 for that, so the handicapper hasn't missed him. But he is a horse I would fancy.
Was that fair?
Well, I suppose the way he won, you couldn't argue with him. I think he's going to go for the amateur handicap on the Monday, the big race that Swan Fox won last year. Again, Swan Fox could be taking him on again, but certainly he'd be well fancied, and I'm sure Patrick would be keen to get right in him in that race.
And at Leopardstown last night, you were there. Yeah. What did you make of the Mel Stakes? We saw a good finish.
Yeah, good finish. Deauville, I thought would probably win before the race, definitely. I think the rain probably didn't help him, but a fair performance from Moonlight Magic. And he's been slightly disappointing up to now. I think always very highly rated by his trainer, Jim Bulger. I think he just seems to reserve his best form for Leopardstown.
There was a nice bit of money for him last night.
There was good money for him, and he certainly got a tremendous ride from Kevin Manning. 50 years of age now, it's unbelievable. To be riding the top of his game after so many years in the saddle. I remember his first winner way back in 1983, and he's just been so consistent. He is Mr. Consistent, Kevin Manning. He rarely rides a bad race, and very, very strong yesterday. He's done and Deauville, a tremendous finish. He's a horse that you could see come back for Irish Champions Stakes. He was 6 last year. But I mean, he probably isn't good enough to win a Group 1 at the very highest level, but he certainly will pay his way in those type of races between now and the rest of the season. Okay, and just a very quick look, Martin. Busy weekend ahead of us. There's 4 meetings. You've had a look at them all, though. Well, it's early yet, but we put you under pressure. But you've come up trumps again. Well, I don't know. I think a young trainer doing very well, Richard O'Brien. 7 winners already this season. He won it with a horse the same win last night, Tom Dooley. That was the second win in a row. He won at Roscommon before that. He carried a 6-man penalty in the sprint at Ferryhouse on Sunday. Drawing 10. Young Sean Davis, who I think is a very, very good up-and-coming rider, renews the partnership again. I think he's going to take plenty beating. So he's your nap of the weekend? He's my nap of the weekend at this stage anyway, definitely. Okay, that's it for now. We'll be back next Friday ahead of the meeting at the Curragh on Saturday, and then of course into the following week's Galway Festival. Many thanks for watching, and all the best with all your bets next week.